Bro asked me to come and present on lesson preparation and available resources. So on this first slide, if you see, I have some smiley faces, but they're not really smiling. They look frightened and scared, angry, confused. And I purposely did that because, you know, as student teachers, that's how we often feel with lesson plans, because it does kind of get overwhelming with the amount, especially when you do your full weeks. You're planning for all subject areas. So today what I'm going to do is share some resources with you to help you with your lesson planning and also share with you the resources that Lafourche Parish has. Raise your hand if you will be teaching Lafourche Parish.
They're not.
Terrebonne Parish, possibly? Or they're not really sure yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure, I know for sure Terrebonne Parish has similar resources, like district resources also. So, and throughout, if you have any questions, please just raise your hand and I'll answer it. I'll also have some time at the end to answer any questions. Now, this will be interactive. As I was preparing, okay, how can I present this information as a classroom teacher? And that's part of my job also with teachers during PLCs. When I'm providing professional development, part of my job is to step in as a classroom teacher. So when I'm presenting a new strategy, I'll step in as a classroom teacher, step out as a classroom teacher, okay? So I will have you guys doing some things as the students in your class should be doing, okay? Let's see if this is going to work. I already introduced myself. I support the teachers. Any questions they have with planning and preparation, if they need research-based instructional strategies, they'll come to me for support. I review the data with teachers and make instructional decisions, and you'll see that during your student teaching. You know, when you'll have to bring your student work to PLCs, you'll bring assessment data, and we'll look at all of that to drive instruction. Okay, so our objectives today. I'm stepping in as the teacher, okay? I want everybody to repeat after me. The objective for today. Identify resources and materials. To aid in lesson planning. Describe components. Of effective lesson planning. And before I start anymore, one thing that we're going to focus on in the instructional strategies is student engagement, okay? And I have slides towards the end on student engagement, but one thing that, you know, good teaching, students necessarily do not want to sit and listen to you teaching the entire time, okay? So I've incorporated several instructional strategies. You know, when I had you repeat, that's something that you would want your children to do. Repeat the objective, repeat things after you. Okay, so what is the first thing you should determine prior to planning any lesson? I'm going to read it one more time and I want you to think about it, and then we're going to do an engagement strategy, okay? What is the first thing you should determine prior to planning any lesson? Before you plan any lesson, what's the first thing you should determine? You have a question? No. Okay, don't raise your hand yet, because we're focusing on student engagement. And I love how you did that, because all so often we pose a question, we call on one student. How can I assess what all of you know about lesson planning if I just call on her? Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to show you an engagement strategy. It's called a mix, pair, share. This is something that you can use with kindergarten to 5th grade students. Okay, I've used it in 1st through 5th. Okay, so a mix, pair, share. You'll have time to write later, okay, because you're going to be up and moving. Another thing that children love, it does not matter the grade, is singing, especially during transition time. Okay, behavior problems start when you have children up and moving and they're not actively engaged. So I'm going to explain how to do the mix, pair, share. So I want everybody to stand up. I'm stepping back in as the teacher, and I'm pretending that you all are my students. I want everybody to stand up. All right, ladies, a mix, pair, share. When I say mix, you are going to mix around the room quietly. No, I'm sorry, not quietly. We're going to sing, okay? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. I normally teach my other children different songs, sing a variety of songs. If they're singing, they're not talking and misbehaving, okay? So you're going to mix around the room however you want to mix. When I say pair, you pair up with any person around you, okay? We're going to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Mix. Go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Pair in 5, 4, 3. If you do not have a partner, you can raise your hand. Okay, I do see some clutter, and this is exactly how I would teach my children. I do see some clutter over there, so I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to spread out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, the tallest person will go first. You are going to discuss with your partner what is the first thing you should determine prior to planning any lesson. After the tallest person goes, you're going to clap hands, switch. The second person discusses the first thing you should determine prior to any lesson planning, okay? When you're finished with your discussion, I want your hand on your hip and your finger on your lips. You may begin.
What your students are doing.
Oh, I love how I'm seeing partners with their hands on their hips and their fingers on their lips after they're discussing. When I see that, I know everyone's finished and we can continue. Awesome job. Kiss those brains. All right, so can you please tell me what your partner said?
My partner said the topic. You need to know the topic.
You need to know the topic. Very good. What did your partner say?
You need to establish the objective and make sure the lesson fits it.
Establish the objective. Make sure the lesson fits it. What did your partner say?
We said the same thing, objective.
Same thing. What did your partner say?
Background knowledge.
Background knowledge.
The end goal. Objective and end goal.
The end goal. Very good. And last one. What did your partner say?
The level of knowledge.
The level of knowledge. Awesome job. Through this engagement strategy, do you see that I'm holding everyone accountable for the answer? I did not call on just one student. I called on a variety. And I didn't ask you, what did you say? I'm making sure that you're being a good listener, and you had to tell me what your partner said. Okay, I want everybody back to their seats in 5, 4, 3, 2. I love how you're moving quickly and quietly. Awesome job. 2, 1. All right, so also if you notice, I counted down for transitions. That's very important. You have to establish your expectations. Before we completed the activity, I told you exactly what I expected. Of course, with any children, you'll have to remind them until they understand the instructional strategy, but also count down. They'll move quicker than just letting them go, okay? So those were awesome answers. What's the first thing you should determine prior to planning any lesson? Great questions. I pose the question, where do I begin? Where do I begin? Know the standards. Okay, of course we would know your topic. What subject area are you teaching? But it's also very important to know the standards. Know what the students have previously learned, what they have to know, and the future standards, okay? And this will really help guide your instruction. It's very important to look at the verbiage of the standard. And I know you guys already know that. You've written several lesson plans. But once you're student teaching, you'll have so many standards that you have to teach. It's very important to look at those verbs, okay? So that's where you begin. Know the standard. What do you know about the Louisiana Department of Education's website? I'm not going to have you get up and move around again, but each of you has a shoulder partner. I want you to discuss with your shoulder partner. The tallest person can go first. Each person should contribute to the discussion. I want you to discuss anything you know about the Louisiana Department of Education's website. Okay, I'm going to give you about 1 minute. You may begin. Tallest person goes first. When I say class, you say yes, class. Class. All right, what do you know about the Louisiana Department of Education? The standards are on the website. What do you know about the
That's what we said. The
standards? Does anyone know of anything besides the standards that are located on the website? Yes, ma'am?
There's all subject areas.
All subject areas are on the website.
They have videos of teachers teaching.
Videos of teachers teaching. Awesome.
They have the school's grades.
The school grades. Good job.
They have their resources. Dr. Bro showed us some of them.
I know she's excited to kiss that brain. All right. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to maneuver the website. And if you want, I can email this PowerPoint to you guys if you want, so you don't have to really take notes. Okay, so what I did was I screenshot the website. The title of the website is LouisianaBelieves.com. I'm going to say and do, and then you say and do. Louisiana Believes. Everybody say it? Louisiana Believes. One more time. Louisiana Believes. I want you to turn to your partner and tell them the first resource that you learned. Begin. Turn and talk. You have to do two. Ready? Go. Louisiana Believes. What's the website? Awesome job. So I'm putting movements to the words, right? It's something that I just made up on the top of my head. Do you think your students would rather sit there and listen or actually do and tell their partner? Do and tell their partner. They're not going to be sitting there misbehaving. They're saying, doing, learning, communicating, discussing. So those are some important things to remember also. I use movements a lot for vocabulary words. Reading stories. If they're reading a sentence, I'll have them act it out. It's just, it really increases their engagement and gets them motivated in the lesson. So, LouisianaBelieves.com, you click on the library. Everybody say library.
Library.
One more time.
Library.
Turn and tell your partner where you have to click.
Library.
All right. So, LouisianaBelieves.com, library. And I'm stepping in as the teacher here just to show you some different things that you can do with your students. So the library, teacher support. So Louisiana Believes, library, teacher support. Everybody say it. Louisiana Believes, library, teacher support. One more time. Louisiana Believes, library, teacher support. Under teacher support, there's resources by all grade levels. Starting from early childhood down to high school, health and PE, science, social studies. So whatever grade that you're doing your student teaching in, you can click. I did choose to do 3rd grade here because WSFR will be 2nd and 3rd grade next year. So under there at the top, every single person was right. You can find the standards at the top of the website. ELA, math, science, health. Here's all the standards. Here's an ELA planning resources. ELA planning resources. The State Department created units. You may use these. You may not. It just depends on the needs of your children. There's unit plan samples that have stories, different activities. In math, they have a guidebook. This is used as a guide. And I would definitely, if you're student teaching in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I would really recommend you looking at this guidebook. Okay, we can spend a whole day on it, so I'm really not going to go there, but it's just a good guide. They have a yearly planning sample. They have extended constructed response tasks. Any resources that you need, the departments really put them out for you. Science planning resources. They have science tasks for every grade level. Okay, and you'll notice for science tests, you'll have to put a task on. Okay, it has to align to the LEAP assessment. So there's different strands, rocks and minerals, force and motion that you can use. And the same with social studies. There's the scope and sequence and all of the tasks. Now, the big question is, how do we know what to focus on? There's so many resources. How do we know what to focus on? And one thing that I know Lafourche Parish is pushing is backwards design. Does anyone know what backwards design is? Yes, ma'am.
Starting from like what they know or what's your ending
And plan your lesson through that.
Very good. Starting with your ending and planning your lesson for that. And honestly, you create your assessment first, and then you plan your lessons according to what's the expected outcome. So you analyze the assessments available, determine what the students must know and be able to do, and then create your lessons and activities to meet the rigor of the standard. And that's where the verbiage comes in. Now, where will you find the assessments, okay? Because once you start student teaching, you have to look at your assessments first, okay? And they're available for you. And, what we teach our teachers to do is take the assessment first. At each question, write the standard next to it. Write the standard next to it so you know exactly what has to be taught. Lafourche Parish has created district assessments for reading and math. So that's already done for you. You will not create those reading and math assessments, but it will be your responsibility to take them, okay? And then also LouisianaBelieves.com in the library, teacher support, grade level. I honed in on this. There's an assessment guidance, okay? And here you'll find your LEAP resources, the LEAP assessment guide, practice test answers. So if you come across a standard and you're really not sure how it's assessed, you can pull up these assessment guides for all grade levels. You can pull up the LEAP practice test and it's available for you, okay? And we really utilize them on a daily basis. They have general rubrics. Same thing with science, math, and social studies. Look in those assessment guides and you can pull out the practice test and the test released items also. The only thing is they don't have it for first and second grade. Okay, here are some available resources in Lafourche Parish. So make sure you go back and ask your supervising teacher to see these documents, okay, because they have access to it you wouldn't. Curriculum maps, okay? For every subject in Lafourche Parish, there's been a district team and they've created curriculum maps. It tells you what to teach, when to teach it, okay? It maps out all of the standards and things like that. The Journeys reading series, that's the reading series that we use. If you've taught reading lessons, you've probably been exposed to that. Also, excuse me, another resource that a group of teachers has come together to make is an ELA interactive journal, okay? Because we created the district assessments, but they're Part A, Part B questions, extended prose constructed response, and the students have difficulty answering those question types. So through the anchor text, they've created the interactive journals, and it's questions Part A, Part B, Park-like that go with the anchor text, okay? So if you're student teaching 2nd grade to 5th grade, ask your supervising teacher for that. For math, Go Math, K to 3. That's our math series. We pretty much use that to plan our lessons, but of course we have to add additional things to it to meet the rigor of the standard. Math for 4th and 5th grades, Envision It. ELA lesson assessments for 1st through 5th, I've already discussed that. And then math, mid-chapter, and chapter assessments, kindergarten to 5th grade. And then I also heard through the grapevine that they may be creating ELA assessments for kindergarten. I'm not 100% sure on that though. Okay, we are going to do another engagement strategy. One of the objectives was to identify resources that will aid in lesson planning. So on your paper, any paper in front of you, I want you to number it big, 1, 2, and 3. Give me a thumbs up after you've numbered 1, 2, 3 on your paper. 1, 2, 3. Give me a thumbs up once you're finished. I love my friends who are giving me a thumbs up. G-O-O-D-J-O-B. Good job, good job. Hey. Okay, so our objective was to identify resources that will aid in lesson planning. Think about everything that we've discussed. I want you to write. Let's read it together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Write at least 3 resources that will help you with lesson planning during student teaching.
Okay, so you're going to write 3 resources. Once you are finished, you're going to hold up your notebook facing you so no one else can see. Okay? When I call showdown, you will flash it in the air to show me your responses, okay? So I can assess your understanding. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to write down 3 resources that you can use to aid in lesson planning.
Is it only for my family?
No, anything that I've presented that you can use next year. When I see all notebooks being held up, I'll call showdown. Great job. You have about 1 more minute. I want you to quickly jot down 3 resources. The objective was to identify the resources. You do not have to explain them. You can just write down 3 resources. I'm waiting for everyone to hold their notebooks up so I can do a showdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, showdown. And I did walk around and see. Good. Awesome. Showdown. Good job. Great. All right. So this is another engagement strategy that you can use in your classroom. I was quickly able to assess who can identify 3 resources and who couldn't. Okay? Some of you were able to quickly fill it out. Others had a little more, not challenge, but you had to think a little more about it, okay? And you can utilize this in any subject that you do. Students can use dry erase boards, addition facts, multiple choice ABCD answers. You can pose a question, write a response, have them do a showdown. Did I collect anything? Was I able to quickly assess your understanding? So it's another good way to engage the students. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about the resources available? No? Sure? Okay, I know I did kind of go through it quickly. The department's website, we can spend days going over all of the resources there. Just make sure, you ask your supervising teacher. And we have, in our parish, we have a Moodle website that has tons of different grade level resources, from high frequency words to the assessments, to the interactive journals. So ask them to share that with you. Yes, ma'am?
If there's something that you forget how to teach, is there something on the website that will help you remember?
Absolutely. Look at the standards. You can look at the assessment guide that has a lot of information in it. And also your supervising teacher will be there. Okay, we know, it's not going to be expected that you know how to do everything. It's a learning process. You do not learn how to teach until you are in front of a classroom and you are doing it. That's really, we can take courses and of course, increase our knowledge. But until you're actually in front of those babies doing it constantly, that's where you learn, and your supervising teacher will be there to answer any questions. And if you don't know how to teach something, go to her and ask her. Or if you're at one of the Thibodeau schools, we have master teachers. Come to us and say, listen, I'm really not sure how to teach this. Can you help me? And that's our job. Our job's to grow you professionally, so ultimately you can grow those babies. Okay, good question. Okay, what is effective lesson planning? What is effective lesson planning? I want you to discuss it with your partner. What is effective lesson planning? Classity class. Oh no, classity class. All right, what's effective lesson planning?
We talked about like not good, but like doing it where you're like engaging like the students, like writing it, and like how you're gonna do it.
Writing what you're going to do. Lesson plans are a guide. Of course, there are teachable moments that come up, but you know that if you're effectively planning a lesson to meet the standard, and you actually implement it the way that you plan it, it will be effective. Anybody else? Engaging the students. What did y'all discuss?
We didn't say exactly what effective lesson plan was, but we said it has been effective if your student grows, like the outcome kind of.
Very good. It's effective based on student growth and the outcome. Would you consider a lesson effective if none of the students learned? Absolutely not. If they didn't meet that objective or that standard, it's really not effective. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Planning ahead how you're going to modify the lesson for your different students.
That is great. Planning ahead. How will you modify the lessons? Awesome. Okay. Years ago, it used to be at Nichols you had to write these long lesson plans, these long 5-part lessons, and then you get to your student teaching classroom and they have a week on one page. It's not like that anymore. Okay, teachers are really digging deep into their lesson plans. I would say one lesson, one day is a page long. Okay, so through that, of course, you have to list your standards. One thing that we require our teachers to do in the beginning, I said to know your standards, know where the students came from, and know where they have to go. We require our teachers to spiral the standards. Okay, so if they're teaching reading literature, 1 ask and answer questions, they have to look at the grade level ahead. What's expected if it's first grade, what's expected in second grade, and they have to write that standard down. Okay, I'm not sure if you have to do that for Nichols or not. So you can see where the students are going the following year. Those high students who've already mastered that first grade standard, you can bump them up, you know where they need to go the next year. So we do require the spiraling of the standards. The objective, all 5 parts of the lesson: task focus, lesson presentation, guided, independent, and closure. Another thing we require on our lesson plans is the differentiated instruction, planning ahead of how you're going to modify the lesson. You do have high children who've already mastered the standard. So what are you going to do to bring them up to that mastery and advanced level response? And then of course you'll have your below level learners that need additional support. So all of that's within our lesson plans. When writing lesson plans, remember, activities must align to the objective. If your objective says the students will use verbs and sentences, do not have them identify. They should be using those verbs. So just really look at your standards and your objective, and then make sure those activities align. And then objectives must align to the standard, unless the skill will lead to meeting the standard, okay? Sometimes before they can use verbs, they need to identify them. So you may have one lesson on identifying, and then the rest of the week they're using, and that's okay. That's essential learning. Throughout all lessons, I want everybody to repeat it. Throughout all lessons.
Throughout all lessons.
Oh, no, thank you so much. Kiss that brain. Say and do. Throughout all lessons.
Throughout all lessons.
Students should be actively engaged.
Students should be actively engaged.
Or intellectually engaged.
Intellectually engaged.
What is student engagement? So we're going to do another engagement strategy called a rally robin, okay? And normally when I have groups or partner work, I always give my expectations. If you noticed, I said tall person go first. Okay, because especially when we're dealing with 5-year-olds to even 13-year-olds, sometimes they may have trouble deciding who goes first or what's the expectation of the group work. So right now the shortest person will go first. And before I continue, I normally have, I would do peanut butter and jelly partners. Like on their desk, I would have like the peanut butter and jelly, and I'll say, jellies go first, peanut butters. You can do it tons of different ways. But the shortest person We'll go first. A rally robin is when you say something about the topic, the next person says something, then you keep repeating until I call stop, okay? It's called a rally. So, for example, excuse me, rally robin. I want you to list verbs. Go, eat,
Sleep,
swim,
play,
jump,
sit.
walk. So do you see how we went back and forth, back and forth? So anything that you know about student engagement, okay? I don't want you to have a conversation. I don't want you to answer in complete sentences. It's kind of like brainstorming. Anything you know about student engagement. Shortest person goes first. Ready? Begin. Class. Awesome job. I love using this strategy, especially for the lower learners. If they don't know the answer or know anything about verbs, is it okay for them to repeat what their classmates said? Absolutely. They may retain it a little more if they hear you say walk and they say walk, run, run. So I really enjoy this. So some things that were discussed about student engagement.
The hand motion.
Hand motions,
You said participation.
participation,
No, I think that's something different.
group work,
You said focus.
focused. I like that. Everybody say, oh yeah. Focused. Because all too often, and a lot of teachers are nervous to have their children doing. Okay, because we have to take a step back and allow them and trust them to have that discussion, and it has to be focused. Would I want you talking about what you're doing this weekend? Of course not. So it's really important to establish those expectations. What did you guys discuss? Communicating. Discussion, and the last one? Listening. All right. One thing, and I just recently did some professional development with our teachers on student engagement and a variety of engagement strategies, and I presented this to them. These are things that we see in our classroom, and these are things that you will see when you begin your student teaching and you have your own classroom. Off task. Everybody say off task.
Off task.
Students not working on the lesson with the rest of the class. They're calling out, they're working on other work, they're getting out of their seat, staring into space, talking about other things. You will encounter this in your classroom, off task. One thing that someone said was participating. Working on the lesson. The children are participating. You ask a question, they're answering it. They're working, being compliant, and doing what you ask. They're writing down notes, looking at the teacher, answering the questions, following along with the rest of the class. This is the difference between participating and being engaged. You want to work on the lesson and you want to work more. We want to take our students from just participating and being compliant to actually wanting to do it. Okay, that's the difference between participating and being engaged. They want to learn. They're asking questions. They're explaining what they learned. They're getting involved in the lesson and going above and beyond. And for this PD that I delivered to the teachers, I found the definition of student engagement, and it actually took quite a few teachers by surprise because we thought if they're participating, they're engaged, right? In education, student engagement refers to the degree of attention. Everybody say attention.
Attention.
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
Interest. Optimism. And passion. That students show when they are learning or being taught. So it's not simply just about them doing. They need to be optimistic about it, show interest, passion. When you walk into a truly engaged classroom, you can see this across. Why is student engagement important? I want you to think about it. Why is student engagement important? We are going to do, I'm just pulling this one off. It's called a round table rally robin, okay? So in groups of 4, if you have 5, it's okay. We're adults here, so I'm not going to assign roles. One person goes first, and I want you to discuss why is student engagement important. Once everyone in your group has discussed, you can go around in a table. I want you to give me a thumbs up to let me know you're ready to share. Ready? Begin.
Also important because they're going to help them engage and they're not going to
And the more engaged you can get students to be, the further you can push them, the more you can grow them to kind of be
Thumbs up when you're finished.
things in their own instead of you having to speak everything to.
It's okay if you don't know what else to say. You can repeat something that they said.
She said it's important because they're actually
All right, so why is student engagement important?
Like, they take more from the lesson and they hold on to that learning.
Very good. They hold on to the learning. They retain more. If they're saying and doing and they're motivated, they will retain more. Awesome. What else?
Deeper discussions. It's not just on the surface. They're like taking it further and even saying things that the teacher might have not taught.
That's great. That they're taking it deeper, a deeper understanding. And I can tell you, I taught first grade for 3 years, and these 5-year-old children were asking higher order thinking questions. The balloons and the depths of knowledge questions, first graders were asking these types of questions. So, we just need to give them a chance. Good job. What are some other ways to get students engaged? I've showed you hand motions, the showdown, the rally robin, the round table robin, this mixed pair share. What are some other ways that you can think of to get your students engaged? I want you to have a discussion with your shoulder partner and then give me a thumbs up when you're finished. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2. Great job. What's some other ways to get your students engaged?
I always try to put games, like make my actual lesson itself into a game.
Great job. Games, do you think that would motivate children? Absolutely. Anything else?
We had to games with, the like, you can say that.
My vocabulary words for my 402 lessons, like detective, solve, mystery, and there was a few others, so I actually made them become detectives, and we found the words around the room that I put up.
Good job. Of course, being a detective would motivate them.
I said a jigsaw, like having each student teach a part of the lesson.
So jigsaw, having them teach. Great job.
I said provide praise to a student that's, on task, answering questions, asking questions, being engaged, because usually when a child sees that one's getting praised, they're going to want that as well.
Absolutely. And what are some ways, in this, when I had a student teacher, one thing that she kind of struggled with was classroom management. Okay, so one thing that you need to remember, when you are teaching that class, you are in charge of them. Okay? You need to take charge of them. You need to give them their rewards and their consequences and different things like that. Okay? And I told my student teacher, I said, you need to begin taking control of them. They will listen to me. I've been with them for however long. They know my rules. They know my procedures. We have that rapport, and you have to build that with them. So I want you to discuss what are some rewards that you think you can implement while you're student teaching. The teacher may have some. They may do different prize buckets and things like that. But what are some things that you can implement? Because remember, they will be your students. So So I want you to discuss that real fast. All right, give me 5, 4, 3. I did hear some awesome discussions about tickets and stars and stickers. And does anyone have anything that they'd like to share before? Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
share one. My first grade teacher that I've been working with, she pulls 2 stars out of the bucket, and before they go to lunch, and everybody has to be good walking in lunch, sitting down, and then when they get back to class, she reveals the stars, and those 2 kids will get it. But in order for her to pull the stars and reveal them, they have to all be good for lunch and all of that.
So it's
I
kind of
thought
like a
that was-
mystery.
Yeah.
A mystery student, great job. So just remember that, when you're student teaching, they are your children. You are responsible for their education, their well-being, their behavior. If they are misbehaving, you need to think of strategies and what can you do to help these children. All right, and then I found this. I just loved it. Tell me I forget, show me I remember, involve me I understand. Okay, describe components of effective lesson planning. We're going to do another showdown on the same piece of paper. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to describe components of effective lesson planning. Yes, ma'am.
You mean the components of the plan itself or the steps?
Anything that will make your lesson plans effective, your lesson planning effective. Remember, before planning any lesson, what design do you have to use? I want to see that in your responses. Remember, before you plan any lesson, what design do you have to use? Think about in the beginning of me describing effective lesson planning. Good job, first one. And what do you call this? When you're checking for, how are you going to check for that alignment? And if you're teaching to the rigor. But when you're reviewing the assessments, what do you call that? You remember? Can you help her? Can you help her? When you're reviewing the assessments, remember I told you you have to take the assessment, write down the standards next backwards design. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, showdown, whether you're finished or not. Outcomes achieved, backwards design, student engagement, objectives, assessments, modification. Great job, differentiation. Backwards design. Everybody say backwards design.
Backwards design.
Who can tell me what is backwards design? What is backwards design? You know?
Making a lesson off of your assessment.
Making the lesson off of your assessment. Take your assessment first to see those expected outcomes. Great job. Good, good, good. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Good job, ladies. Quick review. Some of the resources available, LouisianaBelieves.com. Everybody say it.
LouisianaBelieves.com.
The standards, practice assessment items, unit plans, science and social studies tasks, the assessment guides, tons of resources. If you have time, I would really recommend, once you're assigned to your grade level, digging into those resources. Ask your cooperating teacher what resources are available in your parish. Use these resources. You won't have to start from scratch. So many things are already done that can help you when creating your lesson plans. Remember to align your activities to the objective and standard. Be sure the students are, read it, intellectually engaged throughout your lesson. Does anyone have any questions? No questions? Well, I did write my email address up here, agadams@lpsd.com. If you guys have any questions, if you need any resources, please feel free to contact me.